Come out with us and play. Love your London. Have a banana. Hello, we're at London Open House. Well, it's normally at Open House weekend, but this year it's a sort of like a festival that's spanning over a couple of weekends. And today we're at the Hermitage Community Moorings, and I'm here with...
I'm Thomasin, so I live with Angus, who owns Nooit Volmaakt, which is an 1898 sailing clipper from Holland.
That's fine.
Dutch sailing.
And these are all, the reason I said heritage by mistake, these are generally heritage vessels, is that right?
The boats have to have the same profile as they did in their working life.
Right.
And be pre-1950.
Pre-1950.
Yeah.
And out of interest, I think this is quite a very tight-knit community. You can't sort of like apply to join, or is it possible to?
Well, it's a cooperative, and so everybody owns a proportion of the infrastructure,
right.
And you have to put in a few days of maintenance work every year, and there's community projects. But I mean, basically, when boats come up for sale, people can buy a boat and live here, or if a mooring comes up for sale and a boat's left, then you just you have to abide by certain rules and take part in the cooperative.
But unlike other moorings, it's not a place where you move around. You sort of, what do you here, you stay here, is that right? Or normally?
So you own your bit of the mooring, so you can come back anytime you want, but people do go off to the Swale or up the east coast, so in the summer it's pretty empty when boats have gone off on their sort of summer holiday tours.
That's great, thank you. And can anyone just sort of like visit this, or do you have to apply to become a visitor, or is it open other parts of the year apart from London Open House?
It's just be open house weekend.
It's only open house weekend. Okay.
There's a charity arm of it called HRP, River Project, and there's lots of sort of schools come and visit. And there's also, when you go in, you'll see there's a community room which people can rent to have, and the money from that all goes into the charitable arm, which is introducing children to the river and doing things like mudlarking and stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
It smells like the Thames.
Yeah. So how many people live here?
We are 18 boats. Are you a radio station?
We're a blog.
Okay, cool. It's 19 boats, residential boats.
19 residential boats. The one that we're going on now is never residential, is that right? That's always for show.
No, it's just a visitor. So there's a visitor's berth that people come and go. So there's the Thames barge is here just because it's just doing its own thing.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Great.
And so how many people altogether is it? Or is the space it varies?
I mean, it doesn't vary. It's obviously there's kind of 19 families who are some single, some some with families. I'm not quite sure what the total number is actually. But it doesn't vary though. Well, occasionally boats come up for sale, but
right.
So I might just go and check what's on board the Will. So this is not my boat. So I'm just
okay.
Have a quick look before I welcome you aboard. You can grab hold of that chain.
Yeah, very well. That's good. Fabulous.
There we are. Try answering questions about it. Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
Perfect day for it.
This is a proper Thames barge.
It's a sailing barge. It's not just a barge. This is a big bertha. This is a proper. Well, you'll see. Where does it say? Well, there it is. Sailing barge.
I'm a painter. I'm an artist.
Ah.
As am I. Make things. It's a nice life.
And I show in Walton Street, just behind Harrods.
Oh, good. All right.
So that's.
We'll mention this in the vlog.
Please do.
Peter Waldron.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Peter Waldron.
Yeah, super.
They say 24.
And you live in that one just over there?
It's actually my partner's boat, but we spend as much time on it, obviously, as we can.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of studios elsewhere in the country, so...
I must ask you, how many times have you painted Tower Bridge?
Have you been through it?
No, how many times have you painted it?
Oh, I haven't painted Tower Bridge. I'm a non-figurative artist, so it's a little different.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Not knowingly, it might crop up in some of the construction, like within my work. It might
Right.
well done, subconscious, but because I don't think you can never get rid of these things.
No.
And
Okay. Which way do we go in? Is it?
well,
Oh, is it?
it's crew only. Right.
Oh, right. Are there any boats that we can go inside this year?
I'll have a word and I'll see what's what.
Okay.
We were quite disappointed not to be able to go inside any of the boats, so Peter Waldron kindly okayed it with his partner Anne, who owned the boat next door called Rock, to show us around. So thank you, Peter, and thank you, Anne. Anne is also an artist, by the way, and her Instagram profile is on your screen now. Do you tend to leave the boat here the whole time, or do you take it on journeys?
We've all got permanent moorings here. Even if you go away, it's still here when you come. So this is my studio, which is normally not like this.
All the arts. Yes, we have another artist. What a place
Lots of
you've
artists
got
here, aren't there?
Huh?
It's lots of artists here.
Yeah, inevitably, I think it kind of demands that kind of open-minded living.
What a setup.
This is so much bigger than I thought. So how often do you have to sort of take it out of the water and get it serviced?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Well, this
Another 5.
smells like you've been renovating.
And then here we have my film screen.
Oh, right.
Oh, sure.
Oh, fantastic. You can watch television on there as well, I take it? For the football?
Sure, yeah, the football, that's it.
And the tennis and
That's more
the
like it.
Olympics were pretty special.
Very nice. Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah.
So is this the party house of the community?
It used to be. I don't do so much now. My husband's not here, and I've been spending less and less time here since I made the decision to sell. It's much harder to kind of feel.
You're selling, you?
Yeah.
What was it? Is it Anne with an E at the end? Or?
And with an E,
Anne.
it is indeed.
Can I ask you, have you already found a buyer?
Yeah, there is somebody interested. I've had loads of people interested. It's been really popular. I could have sold it.
Do you mind saying how much it went for?
It's on at 875.
Okay.
875.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do people have to sort of that is that for life, or can you pass that on to other? I mean, once you're here, is it like a lease of sort of so many years?
You become a member of Hermitage. We're a cooperative.
Right.
So you become a member of Hermitage, and I will be a member of Hermitage. Hopefully I will be an honorary member when I leave, but at the moment I'm obviously a paying member.
Yeah.
And that entitles me to have this mooring in perpetuity.
In perpetuity. Fantastic.
All right.
So galley, my galley,
The galley.
I'll let you go through there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this has been beautifully set. You'd have to have your not mind a bit of sway, Tristán.
This is the
Go on,
master
don't mind.
cabin and
Yes.
Sure.
my dressing room and
Right.
ensuite.
I don't want to.
You're okay.
And then if you want to go in there in the 4-peak cabin.
Okay. Oh, nice.
You recording?
Yes. There's the other 4-peak up there to the
What's
right.
this?
4-peak to the right.
Oh, it's another bed.
Yeah.
2 more beds. My goodness.
There you are. Don't waste it.
You could live in here.
Of course you could live in here.
Yeah.
It's a and then there's another entry exit up here. Very nice.
Amazing.
You got to get used to that wibble wobble.
875.
Yep, 875.
Blimey.
This is lovely. Thank you very much, Anne. I'm
Wow.
sorry that your other half
sorry.
isn't here anymore, but
I'm sorry, I'm in such a tip.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm a Virgo and I do not like tip.
it's a little
Good luck with
Thank you very much.
Oh, pleasure.
Wow, how many bedrooms are there here?
4.
It sleeps 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
It
comfortably.
sleeps 7.
And because you have up here
Wow.
as well, and of course.
Yeah, exactly. So I can sleep about 10.
Well, yes, it's a house, isn't it?
Yeah.
And really, the square footage, it's bigger than most.
Wow.
Look at the
By far.
It's beautiful. Thank you very much for showing us around. Isn't that beautiful? Look, you can even sleep more up here.
We got the Navy coming past. There's the Navy.
Yeah, lots of butterflies here.
Well, that's a gherkin, isn't it? That looks like a gherkin.
Good. Look.
All things free.
Free to take.
Yeah, I know.
They got a heater?
Oh, okay. Well, we're heading back that way, so take the heater.
We're not heading back that way.
Oh, we're not. Okay. So I don't keep animals in cages, so I don't want that.
We could do with that heater, couldn't we?
Certainly could, and I'm assuming it works. Hell yeah. No, it's a carbon heater. It's a 1,000 watts.
And look at this.
Like the
Look,
one we gave
and there's a
your mum
planer.
Is it or yeah? It's a table saw. Is it a table saw? It's a planer. I don't actually know. What does it say?
Yes.
It is a planer.
Do we,
For the girl who's got everything.
what could we do with that?
Nothing. The heater is the only thing we have any use for.
What about the bird cage?
I don't keep animals in cages. Nope.
But
Nothing
it's
is
still a
safe
cool
here.
cage. So
I don't know. I don't want that.
we can't. We need to take this, don't we?
We live in a room, and you have a hoarding problem. So I'm not going to take other people's things. We don't need them right now. And the carbon heater, unless you want to carry it back to the house, which is 2 blocks from here.
I don't want to carry it all the way back.
Do you know what? I don't either. Let's go. We have things to do. We have work.
But it's free.
I know, but free. Someone else can probably use it more than we can. We're poor, but we're not that poor.
We are that poor.
No, we're not.
I'm that poor.
Well, that's not my problem, is it?
And now is as good a time as any to remind you that you can become our patron on Patreon if you want to help fund these videos. Alternatively, just like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and hit that notification bell. It costs you nothing. And share this video on your favourite social media platforms. That's not a bee, that's not a bee.
Yes, it is.
That's not a bee.
It's a honeybee. It's a European honeybee. They're out, actually, in forest now. Classic bee. Oh, we love bees.
I bet that heater's not here, not there if we come back.
Stop rubbing after profit. We don't need things. And then put out a whole bunch of my things to make those things that you buy online that we don't need, like records. We don't even have a record player.
I think I need to go back and get it.
Oh, Mom's coming, Mom and Dad.
All that rubbish are on.
Well, at least it's feeding time. Little fish. Did you see it was a tiny little piece of...
Probably with the plastic.
Oh, I hope not. And I feel like that. Look at the feet on that one, eh?
Yeah.
Look at that evolution. Evolution at work.
Hello. This is your boat?
Yeah, that's my ship, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes. Are you kind of a local to Wapping?
We are actually. We live just around the corner from there.
Really nice.
But we have been here before.
Yeah.
But we now do a little vlog about London.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I'll give you.
Really? Oh, that's
Our
interesting.
card.
Well, I love Wapping. I think it's one of my favourite villages in London. I think.
Wow.
Well, it literally is. You've got the kind of highway that separates it, so you have to have a reason to come here.
Yeah.
It's not one of those places that you just wander through, and I think that kind of makes it quite interesting. Well, as you're aware, it's full of actors.
Yes.
Are
you? Do you mind if we record this?
that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. What's your name?
Thomas Zatorski.
You're an actor, I take it.
I'm not an actor. I'm an artist.
You're an artist?
Yeah.
You're
So
fine,
I'm one of the people that we started this place. You probably know about the history of the place.
Yes,
already.
I do. Yeah.
Yes. Which kind of
You were here before the ones on the other side of the Thames. Is that right? Or?
Yes, that's right. Yes. No, I joined. Well, I joined this group before we built, where there was nothing here.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a good idea to throw our money into a patch of water.
Good idea.
Great idea.
Yes, indeed.
Marvelous.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And do you know the people over there? Or?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Yes, we do.
Is it?
So it's a different kind of community because this community, as you know, is a cooperative where we collectively own the mooring.
Yes.
Whereas over the other side, they are kind of under a sort of benign feudal dictatorship.
Right. So they have to move every.
No, they don't. It's owned by Nick Lacey. So it's a very different kind of system.
Right,
Really.
okay.
Yes. Okay. But also here, what we do is we kind of insist that everybody, all the boats are fully functional, and that the owners. They learn that they must be in command of their vessel and able to move it and use it. Because it very much changes the dynamic. I mean, the community very often in the summertime they all set off for the swale together and they sort of have jollies down the river. And actually, what's interesting is that many of the people who have now joined the community, because when we first started this, many of the people have now left. Have often never had a boat before. Right. So it's been quite transformative for lots of people. But a boat is a heterotopic space, rather like a church. It's very other. And even when they're moored up, it symbolises an adventure. And so often people join who are in big transitions in their lives. Right. Divorces, for example. Yes. That sort of thing. Yeah, it's an interesting space. Great place for children as well.
Yeah. So I take it that with the children, do you have like your own school here, or do they go to?
No. They all go to various schools around London, but they very much sort of run around as a gang. And that's rather good because they're all also very aware of how to live safely on boats. You know, so they're sort of very aware that the little ones get lifted on and off the ships, for example, and they sort of keep an eye on each other because you don't want children playing in a solitary way. You need somebody else to kind of keep an eye in case they fall in. Yes. You know, so it's a little bit like living near a very busy road or something. You have to kind of change the way that you live. Yeah. And what's quite interesting is a lot of people, when they turn up to these open days, they sort of imagine that living on ships, isn't it cold and damp? Which of course it isn't. No. All the ships, they have central heating just like you do in your home, except they are independent, so they can function without being plugged into the mains, as it were.
I take it because these are heritage vessels.
Yes.
They're kind of listed, aren't they? So I suppose people can't really make too many changes to them.
Well, what happens is that we have a set of sort of rules about what you can do to your vessels, which is it's something we all agreed upon, so that it stops them becoming like you'll find some of those vessels in St Cat's Dock, which are. They kind of become sheds on hulls, you know.
Working boat.
Yeah, exactly. And then they suddenly get verandas and and towers and all of the rest of it.
They become a floating.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't really want that to happen. That's kind of part of our look as well, and our kind of way we presented ourselves to this community, you know. And that's kind of great. So that's what we do. It's sort of kind of self-forcing. I mean, our ship, for example, is a monument in Holland. So it's because she's the last of her class. But what's extraordinary, I mean, because in Holland, they're still very much a maritime nation in the way that we aren't.
Yes.
You know, and that is because of the canal. Everybody has an access to a boat, really, or some relationship to it, whereas we don't. It's become a preserve of the sort of upper middle class, which is a shame.
Yes.
But it's part of the nature of Britain, really. We're such an old nation that we just throw our heritage away. You know, our hedgerows, our historic buildings. We have so many that we don't look after them very well, and now they're really swept away very easily. And they're a little bit like that with their vessels. You know, you can just go over there and buy one, take it away, and yet they're kind of very rooted to specific towns and the history of the local area. But when they come here, we look after them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Very nice. Well, thank you for having
Thank you very much.
No, not at all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the telegraph.
Paper.
We're away.
Well, I try to keep up with the enemy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, keep them closer than your friend.
Yes, exactly.
Tom.
Exactly. Have a nice
Thank you
day.
very much. Thank you.
What a beaut day it's going to be. It's already well above 24.
So we couldn't possibly not go to a pub after visiting the Hermitage Mooring and we were in the town of Ramsgate, just around the corner. Very old pub, a lot of history here. Some quite famous neighbours actually, because just over there is the home of Graham Norton. And in fact, quite often in the summertime, you can hear his laughter when you're sitting out here. He's having a barbecue on his patio outside. It's quite loud. It travels for miles. But yeah, I'm just going to show you around just while we're here. Oh, £5.50 a pint of cider here, by the way. They have, as you can see, on a Sunday, they have this fantastic carvery. And this is a little passage going towards the old stairs. Of course, when the tide is out, you can go right down to the bottom here. Obviously, the tide is quite high at the moment, as you would have seen earlier. So we won't be able to do any mudlarking. Well, we can't do mudlarking. But as you can see, we just walk down to the edge. It's quite slippery here, so I don't want to fall in. Now, I think there's an old chain here, and there's a lump of wood, and I believe it has I think people were. This isn't Execution Dock. Execution Dock was very, very close to here, but I believe people were sort of chained up there. And there's also a rumour that there is a passageway that links from the cellar underneath here to the Tower of London. I don't believe that's been proven, but yes, and I would go right underneath Graham Norton's house. Oh, 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 that's nice. That's very nice. That's an old toilet roll holder. Let me ask Sharon. Sharon? 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 Are you there? What is it? Look.
Yeah, I don't.
It's an old toilet. Do you think it's Victorian?
I don't. I think it's take that thing.
Someone's throwing it away. Should we take it?
Okay. I don't. It's not that old. It's a piece of hydraulic.
It's Victorian, isn't it?
Yeah, we could use it as a hanger on the wall.
Fantastic. Oh, that was worth the journey alone. We found something to bring home with us. A bit of Victoriana, maybe. I'll look it up later. Probably isn't, but you never know. But yes, and of course there's another entrance into the pub this way.
I did say that.
Oh, that looks nice. So we do have more. What do you think of that then? We found a treasure.
It's not that old. I mean, that would be all corroded, but that's obviously like chrome plated, so it wouldn't rust as quickly as this. But you see, it's not that old. But I can mount that on the wall, and that's now a coat hanger.
A coat hanger.
That'll work just fine as a coat hanger.
Okay.
And it'll go with all the other rusty bicycle parts.
Treasure.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's groovy.
I wonder if it belongs to Graham Norton.
I doubt it. I don't even know if he still lives there. Isn't Helen Mirren's house next door?
Helen Mirren's further down.
Yeah. Anyway.
Apparently Helen Mirren goes and see her every morning going to get some milk.
Who cares? Who cares? Leave the celebrities alone. It's boring. It's boring.
We may be celebrities one day if this channel picks
I
up.
hope the hell not. That's why I look like the way.
We need this channel to pick up.
You can't polish a turd.
We're not the turd. But we do need polishing.
For yourself.
We do need polishing. So if you want to make us famous, just share these videos. Share them. Because otherwise, no one's going to even hear of us. I mean, we're getting quite decent views, but we're not getting the kind of views that we were hoping for.
Well, no, but that's a pandemic, and also, well, you know, like I said, you can't polish a turd. Anyway, that's not for sale. But my drawing is, so do make a bid.
Don't forget to bid, assuming it's not already sold. All the details in the description below. Okay, I think that's the end of the episode.
Thank God.
From Acton Town to Wimbledon, from Brixton to beyond. Love your London, have a banana.